Hi everyone! Welcome sa continuation ng discussion natin about early childhood. Today, mag-move on tayo sa psychosocial developments during this stage. Okay, so let's start with self-concept. And I believe that this is a term na familiar sa karamihan sa atin. And when we say self-concept, it's like the total picture of our abilities, our traits, our characteristics. Parang what comes into your mind when we say when you're talking about yourself. Now, what are the adjectives? In what ways do you describe yourself? Yun yung tinutukoy ng self-concept eh. It's a collection of beliefs about yourself. And right now, definitely, if I ask you to introduce yourself, to describe yourself, you will be able to name some, you'll be able to share about your personality characteristics, your abilities, your skills. Yung self-concept natin na meron tayo ngayon, hindi siya ganun ka-advance or ka-complex nung self-concept na meron tayo when we were younger. Okay? Isa to sa mga nagde-develop as we mature. Okay? Tingnan natin no, paano siya nagsimula. If we remember from infancy and toddlerhood, little by little through the years, the child gains awareness by understanding na my actions can affect the world. Therefore, I am a separate human being and I'm not one with my mother or my parents, but I'm a separate person. Okay? Now, as the time goes by, the child is not only aware that he or she is a separate person, but now, mas nagiging complex itong awareness na ito to the point that nakaka-develop na siya ng collection of beliefs about himself. Okay? Pero napaka-simple niya nung start. Like, tingnan natin nung age 4. Yung self-concept natin at age 4 is mostly one-dimensional, mostly isolated. Okay, and what does that mean? When we describe ourselves in a very one-dimensional way, parang ganito yan, parang I'm a boy, or I like pizza, I like popcorn, I'm strong, I'm fast, ganun, I'm happy, I'm a good boy, ganyan. Okay? Yung hindi pa kayang i-handle ng isang 4-year-old is yung pagkakaroon ng two emotions at once. Okay? Na nararamdaman natin mga adults like, I am happy and at the same time nervous. Hindi pa nila kayang i-handle yon. Okay? Hindi pa niya kayang makita iba-ibang aspects ng sarili niya. All or nothing pa yung thinking nila. Okay? Hindi pa niya masyadong alam yung difference ng real self dun sa ideal self. Okay? Hindi pa ganun ka-complex yung self-concept. Okay? Ng isang 4-year-old na person. Pero nagmamature yan, no? Like, for example, pagdating ng ages 5 to 6, nade-develop na yung tinatawag na representational mapping kung saan nakikita na yung logical, this should be connections, no? Connections instead of connectives, no? Connections among parts of the self. Nare-realize ng isang bata na, yes, meron akong characteristic A, characteristic B, characteristic C, and maybe if I have all of these characteristics, this can be, okay, the outcome. Parang ganito. Kunyari, mabilis ako tumakbo, mataas ako tumalon, malakas ako. Therefore, someday, I want to be an athlete. Okay? Nakikita na nila yung logical connections among the parts. Isa yun sa mga nade-develop natin in our early childhood. Okay? As we gain more awareness of ourselves, and as we get a better understanding of our own skills, abilities, and characteristics. Okay? Now, something related to self-concept is self-esteem. If self-concept is the total picture of the self, no? It is the collection of beliefs about the self. Self-esteem is about your judgment of your worth. Like, there are people na mataas ang self-esteem, may mga taong mababa yung self-esteem. Okay? Ngayon, yung mga bata, according to research, most of them overestimate their abilities. Okay? Like, feeling nila kaya nila yung mga bagay-bagay without help, which can be good, no? Meaning they're confident. However, may tendency sila to be overconfident with their abilities. Like, they believe that they can already do something on their own without their parents' supervision. Like what I said, it can be good or bad, no? Like for example, what if it's something dangerous? What if it's something that a young boy or girl is not allowed to do? Di ba? So, since hindi pa sila ganun ka-aware about their limitations, they overestimate their abilities. And they believe that they can do a lot more, that they can act than what they can actually, than what they can actually do. Okay? And just like self-concept, self-esteem can also be one-dimensional. Like they believe that pag sinabing good, it means automatically that they're good in all areas in life. Like they're a good person at home, they're a good sibling, they're good in math, they're good in Lego, they're good in games, no? And it's hard for them to handle the fact or the possibility that they're good in one area and they're bad in another. Like, hindi pa nila kayang i-handle yung fact na you can be good at one thing and bad at another. Okay? Which is related din dun sa nabanggit ko kanina with self-concept. Diba? Pero that's something that you learn as you mature. Okay? Some things to remember, and I believe that some of you will be able to relate with this. Children whose self-esteem is contingent on success tend to become demoralized when they fail. Okay? And I know this because I do research on perfectionism, and a lot of kids out there suffer from perfectionism. If you train the kid that you should only feel proud of yourself if you're successful, parang mahina yung foundation ng self-esteem niya kasi naniniwala siya that if I am not successful, then I don't have the right to be proud of myself. So dapat, hindi contingent yung self-esteem niya on success. Dapat intact yung self-esteem niya. Hindi siya nakadepende lang sa success. Kasi kung nakadepende siya sa success, then yung bata, mawawalan siya ng reason to be proud of himself or herself in the face of failure. Okay? Kaya tingnan natin yung sinasabi ng research, no? Children with non-contingent self-esteem tend to attribute failure or disappointment to factors outside themselves or to the need to try harder, no? So parang related dun sa konsepto ng growth mindset ni Carol Dweck. Okay? Yung mga taong may growth mindset, when they fail, okay, they attribute failure and disappointment to outside factors. Like hindi nila kasalanan kung bakit natalo sila sa game, kung bakit mababa yung score nila. Maybe there's another factor. Or, in some cases, yung mga may growth mindset, when they fail or when they are having difficulties, they believe that they should try harder. Samantalang yung mga tao na ni-raise na contingent yung self-esteem nila, yung mga taong na-raise na contingent yung self-esteem nila, okay, sila yung mga madaling sumuko. Okay, sila yung mga madaling mag-give up. They attribute their failure to their lack of ability. And instead of trying harder, okay, they believe na hindi na sila mag-i-improve. Kaya nga yung tawag, fixed mindset. Okay? So, let's train kids not only to be happy or proud of themselves, no, when they feel successful, but instead, they should also be proud of themselves for trying, and that their self-esteem is not dependent nor contingent on the success. Okay? So that they can develop a growth mindset. Now, may iba tayo ng konti. In this stage, the crisis that we go through according to Erickson is initiative versus guilt. Like sinabi ko kanina, children overestimate their abilities. Masyado silang tiwala sa sarili nila, and that's not necessarily bad, no? Pero lahat ng sobrang masama. In this stage, children need to balance the urge to pursue goals with reservations about doing so. Okay? Initiative, like in this stage, according to Erickson, we start to form goals. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer. I want to be in the army. I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay? Pero because of the initiative, you may also pursue goals that are not appropriate. Like yung mga batang nananabunot, nanunulak ng kalaro nila. Okay? Or, for example, because of too much initiative, kukunin yung kutsilyo to slice the bread. Diba? Well, we don't want to kill their initiative, pero there should be a healthy balance between initiative and guilt. Because a child who overestimates his or her abilities may, pursue an activity that is dangerous, okay, that may be harmful to himself, herself, or others. Kaya kailangan nakakaramdam sila ng healthy amount of guilt. Not too much guilt, but instead, healthy amount of guilt. Okay? They should know if the activity or the goal is worth pursuing, or if the activity is something na dapat iwasan nila. Okay? We don't want them to not have initiative because initiative is good. We just want to teach kids to select goals that are healthy for them and those that are not dangerous. Okay, so there should be a healthy balance between initiative and guilt. Now, speaking of guilt, how do you instill discipline? How do you teach somebody to be a good boy or a good girl? No? When we say discipline, we define this as methods of molding children's character and of teaching them to exercise self-control and engage in acceptable behavior. So when we say discipline, it's not just terrorizing them, it's not just being an authoritarian, but discipline is about teaching them also self-control, to regulate their own behaviors. Not only to avoid doing bad behaviors, but also to do good behaviors. Yan yung point ng discipline. Okay? And some parents, unfortunately, they rely heavily on corporal punishment, which is the use of physical force. Okay? With the intention of causing pain but not necessarily injury to correct behavior. Okay? However, well, traditionally, ito yung madalas na ginagamit na way of disciplining children. However, ito yung mga downsides ng ng corporal punishment. Like if namamalo ka or gumagamit or nananakit ka ng bata, nandyan yung risk of injury, nandyan yung pagkakaroon ng poor relationship with the child, nagiging aloof siya, lumalayo siya sa parents. Tapos yung bata nagiging aggressive din. Like, namomodel kasi nila yung aggression from their mom or dad sa pakikitungo nila sa ibang tao. Akala kasi nila yun yung tama. Pwede nilang i-model yun sa sarili nilang kapatid or pwede nilang gayahin yun at gawin nila sa sarili nilang kapatid. And other than that, corporal punishment is also a predictor of antisocial behavior, which you will learn more in abnormal psychology. Pwede siyang makadulot ng mga behaviors na mapanakit sa kapwa or those that violate the law, violate the rules without regard for other safety, without empathy. So, corporal punishment is highly discouraged, even though it's an approach in disciplining, no? It's not encouraged because of these potential negative consequences. So ito yung mga iba pa natin pwedeng gamiting approaches in discipline, no? Meron tayong tinatawag na inductive techniques. Okay, and for me, ito yung magandang approach na over dun sa dalawa pang susunod dito, no? When we say inductive techniques, you explain to the child why the behavior is incorrect. Okay? You appeal to the child's sense of reason and fairness. Like, you explain to them, why is it bad na manabunot ka? Why is it bad na sumagot ka sa magulang mo? Why is it bad to push your brother or sister? Why is it bad to engage in a fight? Okay? Why is it bad to tease your classmate? Yun yung inductive techniques. Pinapaliwanag mo sa bata kung bakit mali yung ginawa niya. And much better yung outcomes niya, empirically speaking, compared dun sa corporal punishment and compared dun sa next two, power assertion. Ito yung kung saan, in order for you to discipline the child, okay, gumagamit ka ng physical or verbal enforcement of your control. Like, physical, yun, gamit ka ng corporal punishment. Or verbal, yung sinisigawan, tineterrorize, tinatakot, no? Ako nanay mo, ako tatay mo, para ma-intimidate yung bata. Okay? Or withdrawal of love. No, yung withdrawal of love, dahil makulit ka, iwan kita sa kwarto. Hindi kita papansinin. Bahala ka sa buhay mo. Or showing dislike for the child, no? Among these three inductive techniques, yung may pinakamagandang outcomes in terms of mental health and adjustment. And siya yung recommended by most developmentalists as the optimal way of instilling discipline sa mga bata. Okay? Now, in relation to that, since yung usapan natin is already about discipline, ito yung mga tinatawag na parenting styles. Okay, meron tayong apat, no? Authoritarian, permissive, authoritative, and uninvolved. When we say authoritarian, ito yung parenting style in which we usually call this traditional. Okay, disciplinarian. these parents who are authoritarian emphasize control and obedience. I'm your dad, I'm your mom, so you have to follow me. Usually contingent yung love nila. Conditional, may kapalit, no? If you want to be loved, then you have to do this. If you want to, please me, you have to do this. If you want to get my affection and love, you have to do this. Usually very distant sila. Okay? Very distant sila. They emphasize control. They emphasize obedience. And maraming mga, kapwa natin Pilipino, usually mga older generation, ito yung kinalakihan nila na way of discipline. Okay? Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na, let me skip to authoritative kasi mas malapit yun. Yung authoritative, meron siyang some elements of authoritarian, but additionally, aside from that, ang maganda, it's a balance between control and obedience and respect for the child's individuality. So yes, as a parent, kailangan may authority ka. Mahalaga yan eh. Pero unlike authoritarian, binibigyan mo ng respect yung bata. Like you also respect their individuality, okay? And you strike a healthy balance between listening to the child, letting the child speak, and also exerting your authority. And between the two, authoritative is superior, mas maganda siya, mas optimal siya compared to authoritarian parenting. And unfortunately, empirically speaking, authoritarian parenting has been associated with psychological disorders such as depression and anxiety. Kasi nga, very controlling. And also other than that, they are more likely to use corporal punishment, okay, withdrawal of love, and yung power assertion. Okay? So authoritative yung the best, according to research. Meron din tayong permissive. Pag sinabi nating permissive, okay, eto naman, nakulangan ka sa authority. Mahal mo yung bata to the point na, ano yung gusto mo? Gusto mo ng iPhone? Bigyan kita. Nothing against rich people, no? Pero ito kasi, inispoil yung bata. Ano gusto mo? Ito? Sige, bigay natin, no? O anong gusto, may lakad kayo? Sige lang, no? Para mapag-enjoy kayo, no? Wala nang authority yung parent, no? They care about the child, pero nasobrahan sa freedom. They emphasize self-expression and self-regulation. Very permissive. Okay? Mas maganda pa rin yung authoritative. Ito kasi nakulangan ka as a parent sa pag-exert ng authority, which is hindi rin maganda. Pero yung worst sa kanilang apat, yung uninvolved. Sa uninvolved, you don't exert your authority, no? At the same time, you don't care about the child. As in, walang paki. Okay? Low in nurturance, hindi inaalagaan yung bata. Low demands, no? Low control, low communication, hindi pinapansin yung bata, parang wala lang, no? Parang yes, magulang siya pero wala siyang pakialam doon sa bata, no? Yan yung uninvolved o yung neglectful parenting. Not necessarily abusive. When we say neglectful, hindi nila nabibigay sa bata yung mga physiological needs and also even yung mga psychological, emotional needs nila. So the best among the four is still authoritative parenting. Okay? Ito yung summary niya. Kung makikita natin, yung authoritative parenting, in terms of warmth or love for dun sa bata, high siya. And in terms of control, high as well. So it's a balance between warmth and control. Yung authoritarian naman, low yung warmth, so medyo mahirap sila i-please, mahirap makipag-build ng relationship with them. Pero high yung control nila, napaka-controlling nila. Sila yung napaka-traditional. Yung namang permissive, high yung warmth, they really care about the child, pero wala silang authority. And finally, yung neglectful, low yung warmth and low in control. Hindi na nga nila love masyado yung bata, wala pa silang control, wala pa silang authority, which makes it the worst type of parenting, and the best is authoritative, empirically speaking. Okay? Now, paano nga ba natututo yung bata ng tama o mali, no? Tingnan natin, no? As the child, ages, eto yung nafe-feel nung bata kapag may ginawa siyang hindi tama. Tingnan natin, no? Age 4 to 5, no? Nasasabi na nila yung, kunyari, no? Nag-away sila ng kapatid niya or may ginawa siya na bawal, no? Nafe-feel niya yung emotions such as being worried, being scared. Okay? Age 5 to 6, nakakaramdam na siya ng, ay hindi siya mismo, no? Nasabihin lang niya, my parents would be ashamed. Kunyari nakaaway niya yung ano niya, classmate niya, sabihin niya, hala, mapapahiya yung parents ko, no? Nararamdaman niya na yon. Pero kung makikita natin, hindi pa siya mismo, parang external pa. Okay? But as the child matures, like age 6 to 7, they would feel ashamed if their parents are present. Okay? Unti-unti na i-internalize na nila. Kunyari, no, nakaaway nila yung kalaro nila and nandun yung parent nila. They feel bad for it. And at age 7 to 8, that's the time na ano na nila, no? Na-internalize na nila yung ano, no, yung self-regulation to the point na they will feel ashamed. They will feel bad even if no one is looking. So that's something that also develops, no, as we mature. Isa yan sa mga psychosocial developments natin. Okay? Now, mahalaga yan kasi isang problem sa mga bata is what we call aggression. No? Yung aggression, lalo na if they're out of control, no? Children's aggression can be problematic. May mga psychological disorders characterized mostly, no, by aggression na matututunan ninyo sa abnormal psychology. Pero ito yung mga uri ng aggression. No? Meron tayong tinatawag na instrumental aggression. Ito yung type of aggression in which, okay, yung bata, kaya siya nagiging mapanakit, kaya siya nagiging aggressive kasi meron siyang gustong makuha. Kunyari sa magkapatid, hindi talaga niya gustong saktan yung kapatid niya, but yung reason kaya siya naging aggressive is that kukunin niya lang kunyari yung laruan. Okay? Wala talaga siyang goal to hurt somebody, pero gusto lang niyang may makuha. Instrumental means to get something. Pero yung mas malala dyan is yung overt or direct aggression, which is characterized by, it's not instrumental, instead, kaya ka nagiging aggressive, kaya ka nanununtok, nananabunot, no? Nangangalmot, kasi gusto mo talagang saktan yung target. No? So, iba-iba yung klase ng aggression. Iba instrumental, iba for the purpose of getting something. Yung iba because of, intention to harm somebody. Pero meron pang isa, relational. Yun namang relational aggression, you are being aggressive in an indirect way. No, damaging another person's relationship, reputation, and well-being. Nagkakalat ka ng chismis, naninira ka, okay? What else, no? Anything that will destroy that person's relationship, no? Nagkakalat ka ng fake news about that person, no? Gumagawa ka ng kwento. Yan yung relational aggression. Kaya kailangan, no, ma-instill ang discipline and self-control sa mga bata in order to combat aggression. Okay, and it's also good to understand, no, their reason for, being aggressive so that makorek sila. And other than that, no, for them also to be aware and for them to develop self-regulatory behaviors. Okay? Now, for the last part of our discussion about psychosocial development in childhood, no, in early childhood, pag-usapan naman natin yung play. Okay? Hopefully, lahat tayo dito nakaranas ng play. No, nakaranas makipaglaro sa mga kapatid, sa mga kapitbahay, pinsan, no? It's an important part of our childhood, no? And when you have kids someday, sana wag nyo silang pagbawalan makipaglaro. Okay? Because play has physical, cognitive, and psychosocial benefits, no? When we say physical, it's, kung isipin, exercise na rin ito. It's their way to develop their gross and even fine motor skills. Okay? It's a way for them to exercise. It's a way for them to, burn calories. It's a way for them to develop their physical abilities. Diba? Isa yung avenue for them, okay, to develop their skills. Diba? Other than that, cognitive, no? Yung paglalaro, it's a way for us to stimulate our minds. Like, may mga problem solving din dyan. It gives us opportunity to learn how to deal with problems. It gives us opportunity to learn about the world, to learn about the complexity of the world, to learn about people, to learn about strategy, to be creative. Okay? And psychosocial, play allows us to develop relationships. It's a practice. It's a venue for us where we can practice roles that we will undertake in the future, like the leader role, the follower role, kung ikaw yung taya, kung ano ba role mo dun sa game, di ba? Kung dramatic play yan or whatever, it allows you to practice your roles, which prepares you for the future. Marami siyang magagandang benefits na psychosocial, cognitive, and physical. Okay? So, maraming theories about play, no? Tingnan natin itong isa. So according to this theory, may mga cognitive levels ang play, starting with functional, followed by constructive and dramatic. Yung pinaka-basic na type of play sa mga bata is functional, in which yung mga babies during infancy, yung laro nila mostly locomotor. Okay, like umaakyat kung saan-saan or ginagamit yung kamay nila to, play with objects, no, to understand how the world works. Okay, using large muscular movements. Yung next level is constructive. At this stage, children learn to use objects to make something, showing congruent with Piaget's theory because of their symbolic thinking. 'Di ba? Like kunyari, ito yung pakpak ko, o ito yung ako si Batman, ito yung kapa ko, ito yung o kaya ito yung bahay-bahayan, ito yung fort namin, ito yung bahay namin, 'di ba? Or yung Lego, ano ba yung nire-represent ng Lego? That's the constructive play or object play. And finally, the third level of play is dramatic play, in which yung sinasabi ko nga kanina, dito, we learn how to deal with imaginary objects, actions, and even roles like Hari, Reyna, at iba-ibang roles, no? Yung iba nga dyan, parang nakabase pa sa mga pinapanood natin, no? And eventually, when we mature even further, we take part in formal games with rules, which helps a lot more, no, in our psychosocial development. Okay? So yung dramatic, yan yung pinakamataas na level ng play, which malaki yung role niya in our psychosocial development. So let's not deprive children of, opportunities to play, because it allows them to develop their psychosocial skills and yung pakikitungo nila with other people. And finally, for the last part of our discussion, meron din mga social levels of play. We can all appreciate it not only from a cognitive but also a social perspective, no? Yung pinakaunang category is an occupied behavior, in which yung bata, isipin nyo, kunyari napadaan siya sa basketball court, hindi niya gustong mag-join pero tumitingin siya if there's something interesting. Okay? Then little by little, parang pumapasok na siya into the equation, pumapasok na siya into the play, di ba? Yung pangalawa, onlooker. No, napapansin ko to sa mga bata kapag naglalaro kami, no? Nanonood, no? May mga nanonood, then little by little nagjo-join, no? Yung onlooker, ayan, no? The child watches other children. They may talk to the child or to other children, pero hindi siya sumasali. Nakikipag-usap lang, pero nakikita natin, little by little, pumapasok siya dun sa play. Yung next is solitary independent, no? Among younger kids, they play in a solitary way. Walang interaction masyado. They play, no? Pero wala masyadong interaction. But in the next stage, in the next category, parallel play, children start to play with other children, but they're not really playing, no? Independent pa rin, but they're in the same place. And wala sila masyadong interaction, no? Pero at least it's becoming more social little by little. And when we get to associative play, it becomes more and more social. Yan, naghihiraman na sila ng toys, no? Like, remember your elementary days, no? You exchange toys, you borrow, you lend toys, and you even talk with one another. Okay? And in the last level, in the cooperative play, katulad nung kanina, yung formal games with rules, children learn to organize a group of people for some goal. Okay? And play a formal game. And, di ba, makikita natin how play evolves from something that is isolated, something solitary, onto something na you feel as if you're part of a larger group and you have one goal to accomplish. Diba? So play is a very important part of our psychosocial development, and it is something that every parents, no, should encourage their children na gawin, no, yung play, and never deprive them to from engaging in play, because it is something na normal na pagdaanan. It's something na malaki yung role sa ating physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development. And I believe that's it for our discussion about early childhood. I hope you learned a lot in this video. I'll see you next time for the next topic. Thank you very much for listening. See you next time.